The following program is a member of the Kings of Wrestling Empire. Go to kowempire.weebly.com for more audio broadcasts as well as articles and our new forum.
That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni-beating, pie-eating, trailblazing, eyebrow-raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 34 for today, Monday, September 14th, 2015. I am your host, Dave Brown. Thank you for joining us. As always, you can hear us on a whole bunch of different places. You can check us out on the Kings of Wrestling Empire, kowempire.weebly.com. Also check out their homepage, kowempire.wordpress.com. They've got lots of great articles and stuff on there. Great bunch of shows, good guys, so definitely give them some love. You can hear us also on the podcast sections of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network here on our homepage, on our Spreaker channel, and on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. So for those of you who use those two platforms, please give us some love over there, maybe a like or a listen or something. That would be awesome. This week is it's interesting. We didn't have quite the week that we did last week. Last week was so bizarre with all of the crazy-ass news and everything going on. Not a whole ton of stuff happening news-wise in this last week, other than Zahara or Sarah, or however her name is pronounced, the chick who got fired from WWE for her apparently racist pictures and tweets, put out an apology. I read it. It was a relatively decent apology. It came off a little condescending. The biggest problem with it is it was way too little too late. She should have done that as soon as this thing erupted. But maybe she will learn from this experience. I mean, she is relatively young. She's like, 28? Which anymore, 28 is the same as being like 20, 21 nowadays. It's amazing how long people were allowed to be kids. I wasn't allowed to be a kid that long. Fuck. Another, I get shafted again. Whole other story. Okay. I'm going to take her at her word, which is something I try very hard to do with people. I suspect she is sincere. I wish her the best of luck in everything she does. And, I suspect she's not a racist, just a poop head. With everything that had been going down, I think she's just a stupid kid, is what it boils down to. So we're just going to go ahead and jump into the shows. One thing I have decided to start adding every week is... there's no Song of the Week this week because, honestly, I totally forgot. But last week, after talking about the 20th anniversary of Monday Nitro and watching that first episode of Nitro and kind of doing that little mini review of it, I've decided that was actually a lot of fun. And it reminded me how much I enjoyed WCW and Monday Nitro. So that's actually something I'm going to do going forward, is every week I'm going to review either an episode of Nitro or the upcoming pay-per-view. So, like, for example, this week we're going to talk about Monday Nitro, the second episode, which was from November 10th. And then next week we'll talk about the Fall Brawl pay-per-view, which happened on November 17th, 1995. This was going to be the lead-in show, the go-home show to that pay-per-view. So we'll talk about that, but we'll get into that in a little bit. We've also going to do some predictions for Night of Champions, even though the card as it stands right now isn't very big, it's very long. So we'll kind of get into that, and obviously we'll talk about NXT, a really good episode of NXT, and then Ring of Honor, a fantastic episode of Ring of Honor with two killer matches. So we'll get into all that. Let's go ahead and start with the big show. No, not the wrestler. I mean the actual big television show, Monday Night Raw from last week. Monday Night Raw opened with a Seth Rollins in-ring promo. You remember how boring all of those Authority in-ring promos got like a year or so ago? Yeah, it's getting almost as bad with Seth Rollins, and what sucks is this poor kid is getting so oversaturated, and he is really good, and he doesn't suck on the mic, but my God, these promos drone on. And the crowd started out chanting weekly, "We want Sting," and then the boring chant started. And this crowd was pretty dead for a lot of this show, and kind of understandably so. I mean, the show was pretty boring overall. So yeah, there were some boring chants. Sting appeared on the Titantron with the statue of Rollins, egging Rollins on, telling him to come and get it. It was pretty good. It was pretty funny. Sting is a very charismatic guy, and that's something I'm enjoying going back and watching these old episodes of Nitro, is seeing. Then this is pre-Crow Sting, so it's the bleach blonde, fun Sting, and that's something I'm enjoying. And watching this was kind of crazy in Sting, and he did have that run in TNA as the Joker Sting, and this was borderlining on that. Which I thought was cool. I really, this part of it saved this segment. Well, then Sheamus came out, and Sheamus says to this was a kind of funny exchange. Says to Rollins, "Do you realize how stupid you sound?" Which Rollins immediately retorted, "Do you realize how stupid you look?" And then, Sheamus tells Rollins, "Look, you might have a third match at Night of Champions," implying that he might cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And then at some point, Seth referred to himself as Seth freaking Rollins, and it was just really dumb. And then JBL repeated it ad nauseum throughout the night. It was just fucking awful. With the exception of the Sting part, this opening segment sucked. We then had Seth Rollins run into Stephanie McMahon backstage. Rollins is freaking the fuck out. Steph is basically saying, "Stephanie, do you have any idea where Triple H is? He's so good at this stuff, the Cerebral's hassle, blah blah blah." And Stephanie was like, "Well, I have an idea," but Rollins kept asking for Triple H. Triple H shows up and says basically, "Oh, you don't think Stephanie can handle this? Well, okay. Here's my idea. You've got 2 matches tonight. One against Ryback, and one with the New Day against the Primetime Players and John Cena." Stephanie then says she was just going to tell him to go after Sting, but Triple H's idea is much better. This was much better. This was a good segment. And what's so frustrating about Raw lately is you'll have these shows that have these really bad segments and then have these moments that are really good and fun. And it's so hard balancing the two because the bad often outweighs the good. But this was really good, and I love how Stephanie and Triple H are starting to turn on Seth Rollins, and I'm hoping that they will maybe have a go at being, if not straight up babyface authority figures, then being a la William Regal down in NXT or Nigel McGuinness in ROH. Maybe they will be like just either tweeners or completely objective, which would be fun. It would be great if they just didn't take sides and they pissed everyone off. But them not being heels, I'm enjoying. We then had Paige versus Sasha Banks, and this was really not the best match in the world. Sasha got the win, and honestly, WWE is doing these women a huge disservice in the way that they're booking them. These four girls specifically: Charlotte, Paige, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and then you can also include Bayley down in NXT. these women are fantastic, and they can go, and they can wrestle really well. Hell, the match of the year, again, it's Bayley versus Sasha Banks at NXT Brooklyn. So why they insist on fucking this up, I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't. It baffles my mind. Because here's this company has, these people that run this company have this certain ideas of what they think should be successful, what they think should be the big star. And they really try to shove that down people's throats. But every so often when something comes around that doesn't fit that mold, that really succeeds, they seem to do everything in their power to make that person not succeed. We had this with CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. We're seeing this with Cesaro, and it's fucked up. Let's be honest. Why are they shooting themselves in the foot? Why are they throwing money down the toilet because some person doesn't fit what they think is the mold of a superstar? Why not instead see how the crowd reacts, see whose stuff they buy, and go with that? Makes more sense. But I don't run a multi-billion-dollar corporation, so who knows? We then had the Ascension versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Ambrose and Reigns get the win. They did a nice doomsday device during the match. That was pretty cool. The Ascension just looked like jabronis in this match. The Wyatt family interrupts with a backstage promo, and yeah, that was pretty much that. It was good. I mean, Reigns and Ambrose work really well together. Reigns, Ambrose, and the Wyatt family, those guys, they all work so well together. Going back to when the Shield and the Wyatts had their feuds. So this is enjoyable stuff. I like what they're doing here. Especially with Braun Strowman, how no one can just compete with this guy right now. It's when someone finally does get this guy some comeuppance, it's going to be great. The crowd's going to go nuts, and unless of course it's Roman Reigns if it looks forced. But in a way, Roman Reigns, the son of a bitch, can't win for losing, man. People loved him when he was in the Shield, and that whole unexpected, the Royal Rumble 2014, where he knocked out more people than anyone else. That was huge. And people were like, oh my god, this kid could actually win. Holy shit, something new. And then Batista won, and people took big fat dumps on him. You fast forward a year, and this guy's been shoved down our throat and told us this is the Messiah, this is the second coming of Hulk Hogan and John Cena. And you get to the Royal Rumble, and he wins, and people dump on it because they don't want to see that. It doesn't feel natural. It feels forced. Where if they had just let this guy had a natural progression, he would have become a huge star. He still has the potential to become a huge star. I don't think he's completely tarnished, but it's going to take a long time. That push really hurt him in eyes of fans, especially smart fans. And they're going to have to do something to fix that. It's just going to be a long road of him working the upper mid-card is what it's going to be. Until people think he's paid his dues and, isn't just having something handed to him. What was next? All right, next we have a backstage interview with Ryback. So, speaking of doing a guy disservice, this whole thing where they have their talent look off somewhere else, not the camera, not the interviewer, is awful. And poor Ryback, when he does it, when he talks, he gets this kind of a singular focus. And Ryback is a good talker. From everything I can tell, he's a nice guy. It's frustratingly sad. So he does his talking, and he looks like he's reading from a cue card because he's just so focused, and that's sad. He gets interrupted by Kevin Owens, who comes out eating an apple, and Ryback just looks frustrated, like, oh, what are you doing here? He's like, what do you want? And Owen said, I was just coming to wish you good luck in your match. And then at the end he says, I hope you haven't bitten off more than you could chew, and then takes a bite of his apple and walks off. It was good stuff. Kevin Owens is phenomenal. In a way, they almost can't screw up Kevin Owens except when they give him just really stupid stuff to say. He's that good. What happened next? We then had a Lana Summers Ziggler vignette. Who fucking cares? We then have Ryback versus Seth Rollins. This was a really good match. There was a spot where I think Ryback was on his knees. Rollins goes for a super kick. Ryback catches it and picks him up into a power bomb. It was a great spot. Ryback got the win via small package after Sting came back on the Tron, made a distraction, and this was a really good match. It was a lot of fun, and I think what needed to happen in this match is Ryback needed to look really good. He needed to look strong, and he did, and it was good. Now, at SmackDown this week, they apparently had a lumberjack match, which I've not gotten to that part of SmackDown yet. I was watching it last night, I think, as I was at dinner in the oven, and hadn't watched all of it. And, SmackDown's a show that most of the time when I do watch it, I enjoy it a lot more than I enjoy Raw. Because it typically has longer matches, and sometimes they have the matches where they make up for things that they fuck up on Raw, like the Cesaro situation. We'll get to him in a minute. And my brain just stopped working. But it also feels like a show that doesn't matter, and it's going to move over to USA Network, and hopefully it'll matter again. I don't know. They have so much TV. If they would, condense Raw back to 2 hours, and then maybe, have SmackDown at 2 hours, or even make SmackDown an hour, I think you could do so much good for everything involved if it was condensed that much. You could then actually have something somewhat meaningful happen on Main Event. But Main Event can't mean anything when you have 3 hours of Raw. That's the end-all and be-all of what's going on. 2 hours of SmackDown that basically doesn't matter. Then you have, Main Event and Superstars, which are essentially jokes. Well, if you made Raw 2 hours, made SmackDown 1 hour, Main Event might actually, mean something again. But it won't. So, why am I even bothering? We then had, what was next? Oh yeah, Rollins was backstage freaking out. The New Day come up to him. Oh my god, the New Day. Okay, WWE, you're doing something right with the New Day. These guys are freaking amazing. So yeah, the New Day are just freaking great. Edge and Christian show up. Edge gets in Rollins' face about the whole trying to break his neck thing, and Rollins says, you should understand, being the opportunist you are, what I was doing, and then leaves. Xavier Woods plays the trombone for Edge and Christian. Christian gets out a kazoo. The Dudley boys show up, and it gets real good intense. And the Dudleys let the New Day know that the New Day will have a tag team title rematch against Primetime Players next Monday on Raw, or which will be tonight. And then the winners will get the Dudley boys for the titles at Night of Champions. That should be good. I'm kind of looking forward to that. This segment, though, was amazing. It was just fantastic. We then had Summer Rae with an in-ring promo, and just who fucking cares, really. The main thing to take out of this, got some boring chants. Ziggler eventually came out, and super kicked Rusev. It was just... I took some notes. I'm looking at them now. I'm like, I don't even know why. In fact, one of my notes is at one point just says, who gives a fuck? It's just, who cares? No one. This is of all of the angles right now going on WWE TV, on main roster WWE TV, this is probably the worst. It is awful. Awful, awful, awful. Apparently Lana got hurt. I don't know what exactly happened. She had to have surgery. She's fucked up. She's going to be gone for a while. So this leaves Rusev, Summer Rae, and Zigzag. What did Rusev and Ziggler do to deserve this feud? It's so poorly put together. It's so ridiculous. It's so convoluted. It's just so bad. And these guys don't deserve that because they're both pretty darn good. Especially Ziggler. Ziggler's freaking excellent. And Rusev is pretty good. So what did these guys do? Who did they piss off to have to get stuck with this shitty ass thing? We then see a backstage little thing with Randy Orton talking to Reigns and Ambrose. Then Randy Orton has a match against the Sheamus. And again, I have to ask, what the hell is Sheamus yelling? When he comes out, he used to scream fella, which made no freaking sense. But now he yells something else, kind of along the beat of his music, and I can't understand it. I just it's like, what? Sir, what the fuck did you just say? And more importantly, why? Because no one cares. This was a pretty freaking boring match overall. The crowd really sucked. Orton got the win with an RKO out of nowhere. And like I said, overall the match was pretty dang boring up until the last few minutes. The last few minutes were pretty good. The Wyatts show up and attack Orton, and the Wyatts look great. Orton's laid out, and apparently this was to write Orton off of TV. He is, I guess, transitioning, according to reports, into a part-time type schedule. He did recently get engaged, so more power to him, man. And, I have to say, he's been doing this for 12 some odd years. He's been, upper mid-card main event level almost the entire time. Not like John Cena, because he has gone down some pegs. But, he's in his mid to late 30s. If he wants to take a break for a while, go for it. He's rich. What the hell, I would too. So, yeah, he's going to be gone for a while, which means no more Sheamus Randy Orton matches. What a shame. We then had the Dudley Boys versus Los Matadores. The only thing really that is of note in this match is that the Matadors turned on El Torito. Well, one of them got frustrated and smacked him. There was a distraction which caused the Dudleys to get the win. Overall, it was a pretty boring match. Apparently, there have been reports that the Matadors are going to get repackaged in some way. After the match, one of the Matadors was beating the crap out of El Torito, which the Dudleys decided, you know what? No, we're not gonna stand for this. So they come back, get out a table, and powerbomb said the Matador threw the table off of the second rope. Nice spot. Place did wake up. The crowd completely woke up for the table spot. We then have Cesaro versus The Miz in what I'd like to again call the hey, let's fuck up Cesaro's push moment of the week. And they keep giving Cesaro shit, and he makes lemons, he makes it lemonade. So there's this great moment in the match where he had been hitting Miz with his the running train uppercuts, and Miz jumped out of the ring and was standing over by the kind of on the side where the announcers are, standing off to the side next to the barricade. And so Cesaro jumps out, grabs JBL's hat, gives Miz a running uppercut, The hat falls off into the crowd. He grabs the hat, jumps up on the announcer's desk, and does his, hey! The crowd goes nuts for this. They did wake up for this. He jumped down, handed his hat back to JBL, and says, thank you. The match ended in an absolute fuck finish. They're still outside of the ring. Big Show comes out, starts chasing Miz around. And Miz had thrown Cesaro into the rib first into the barricade. And in the previous week or so before, Cesaro's ribs got jacked up by Kevin Owens because he was thrown out of the ring or knocked off the apron, and he fell rib first into the corner, into the edge of the announce table, which looked like it had to suck. So he's still kind of playing that up, that he's got these hurt ribs. So Big Show comes up, chases Miz around the ring. Miz runs out into the crowd. It ends up being a double count out. And Big Show is all wicked pissed as he's leaving for no reason at all. He happens to walk by Cesaro, hits him with a knockout punch, lays Cesaro out. It's like, what? What are you doing? And it was ridiculous. One of the great things, Michael Cole did something really good in this match when Cesaro jumped up on the announce table and did the hey, his chant thing. Michael Cole says, who said he doesn't have charisma? Which is a shot directly at Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon thinks that he does not have charisma, which is ridiculous. Cesaro is amazing. Again, especially Cesaro as a babyface, it works so well. And Cesaro is my absolute favorite wrestler right now. My 5 favorite wrestlers right now who are not injured are Cesaro, Kevin Owens, Adam Cole, AJ Styles, and Bayley. And you know, you could probably throw in the New Day in there as well. In fact, I would say that I would put Adam Cole and AJ Styles in there in a tie, but then put Bayley and the New Day above both of them, because I enjoy the hell out of all those people. But Cesaro is amazing. And my thoughts, one of two things they're doing with Cesaro. Either they are on purposely trying to fuck him over, or they're trying to make him an underdog. And there was an article recently where someone basically said, look, Cesaro is going to be the next Daniel Bryan. He's going to become this big underdog and become, huge with the fans. And I could see that happening if he keeps getting just kind of screwed over in matches, because you watch him and he is, pound for pound, the best wrestler on the main roster, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, they did, Miz and Cesaro had a rematch on SmackDown, which I did watch. Pretty good match. Cesaro got a decisive submission victory, making Miz tap out to the sharpshooter. And it was another great reversal sharpshooter where I think Miz was going for a figure 4 or stomping on something, but basically Cesaro was on his back and turned it into a sharpshooter. It's so much fun watching him do that stuff, because the dude is so goddamn talented. And but I can go on and on and on about how wonderful Cesaro is. Let's go ahead and move on. We then had Team Bella in-ring promo. Yeah. It just, Nikki Bella is awful. She's not terrible in the ring. She has gotten a lot better in the ring. I will give her that. And maybe it's not as much that she's awful as she has this bitchy, entitled cheerleader character nailed so well, probably because she is a bitchy, entitled cheerleader. And so Nikki's going on and on. Team PCB interrupts what was a very cringeworthy rant that Nikki was going on. And Charlotte tells Nikki that she gets her match next week on Raw, and that Nikki will not break the record because Charlotte is going to beat her. So, yeah, there we have it. So, Divas Championship match on the night that Nikki Bella will tie AJ Lee's record as the longest-running Divas champion. And we will have her defend against Charlotte tonight. And so, one of a couple things I think is going to happen. Either Charlotte's going to win, which I think would be the best case scenario, or Charlotte is going to lose because of Paige. I think Paige is going to turn on Charlotte and Becky Lynch at some point. I would not have her do it yet. I think you need some more time to sow the seeds of dissension with Paige and Becky and Charlotte. And the way I would really do it is I would have, you could in a way have Paige turn on Charlotte and Becky, and Sasha Banks make the save, and Sasha come out and say, look, Becky, Charlotte, and I have a long history. We have a very deep connection. And I will kick their ass at every opportunity I get, but no one fucks them over. And, we might not agree. We might not even be friends half the time. But, Paige, you're mine. Setting up a Paige-Sasha Banks feud, which would be good. And then I think at some point, you're going to let Charlotte have the belt for quite a while. And so, yeah, that could be it. You got to get that title off of Nikki Bella. You got to. And then we had the main event segment. So we have the New Day and Seth Rollins versus the Primetime Players and John Cena. There was some good little John Cena sucks sing-alongs when he came out. Really nice reaction for the New Day. The crowd did get a lot better once that table bit came out with the Dudleys that woke them up, and they were pretty steady. It was pretty awake for the Cesaro Miz match, which is amazing considering how much the Miz blows, but it just shows you how great Cesaro is. And the New Day is amazing. I mean, really. So this was it was a great match. It was a lot of fun. Xavier Woods just going off on, outside of the ring. And it was just a lot of fun. At one point, Titus O'Neil gets a hot tag, and there was a nice pop for him, a nice big pop. My only complaint with this is Kofi Kingston eating the pin after 1 AA. And it's just, even though John Cena took a lot of the match getting his ass handed to him by the New Day and Seth Rollins, which was quite enjoyable to watch, especially the points when Big E was kind of going blow to blow and just almost throwing Cena around. I thought that was kind of cool. But having Kofi go down after 1 AA was just, it's like, okay, we have to make John Cena look uber strong because he's John fucking Cena, and people in the back have a ginormous boner for him. So gross. And it almost ruined the match because I really enjoyed this match a lot. Then so New Day and Cena and Titus and the Primetime Players all leave. Seth Rollins is still there. He gets in the ring looking all pissed off and dejected, and Sting appears on the Tron and with the statue and saying, you could have come found me. And then the lights come on behind him, and you see that he's on like a loading dock area, and there's a trash truck right behind him. And then Sting proceeds to shove, looking gleeful while he does it, shove the Seth Rollins statue into the trash truck, which then does its whole chompy chomp thing and destroys the statue. Seth Rollins freaks out. This final segment was really good. The whole final segment was good. Overall, a pretty lackluster episode of Raw, with some really good freaking segments. With some guys, I think, who are doing really well despite the shit that WWE is handing them. This was followed by the Stone Cold podcast with Edge and Christian. There's not a whole lot to say really about it. It was fun. These guys are obviously all friends. It was a nice discussion, and I enjoyed it. One thing I will say, I think Edge and Christian are quite possibly the two most well-adjusted people to ever come out of the WWE. I mean, especially in Edge, and that man has his shit together. So yeah. Tonight will be the go-home show for Night of Champions. We're going to have the Divas title match and then the tag team title match. So those should both be pretty good. And let's go ahead and do some Night of Champions predictions. Now, at this point, there's not a whole lot of the card that is known that I could find. But here's what we've got so far. Seth Rollins versus Sting for the WWE World Heavyweight title. I really... Okay, so my heart wants Sting to win. I'm a lifelong Sting fan. He's my second favorite wrestler of all time. I want to see him win the strap. And I think it's probably a good time to get it off Rollins. Sting doesn't have to hold it for very long. He just, with his career, he deserves a run with it. How it's going to happen? Probably not, but my hope is that Sting wins. Seth Rollins versus John Cena for the U.S. Championship, which there are some rumors that is the match that will headline the show, which I think is fucking ridiculous. I think John Cena is going to win this and go back to his U.S. Open Challenge, which has been missed on Raw these last few weeks. I have enjoyed the images of Seth Rollins walking around with both belts and defending both belts, which this pay-per-view is completely borrowing something that is going on in Ring of Honor with their All-Star Extravaganza this coming Friday, which I hope to be able to watch at some point, because Jay Lethal will be defending both of his titles, but we'll get to that in a minute when I talk about Ring of Honor. We then have Nikki Bella versus Charlotte for the Divas Championship. Now, who knows how this is going to go down, considering what's going to happen tonight. Now, with Night of Champions, all the titles have to be defended, so whether Charlotte wins on Raw or not, whoever wins will be defending the title at Night of Champions. I think Charlotte's going to win on Raw, and I think Charlotte will retain the title at Night of Champions. That's my hope. Really, by the time this is all said and done, Charlotte needs to be the one holding that belt. We got the Dudley Boys versus the winner of the New Day and the Primetime Players match from tonight. I don't know on this. I think at the end of the day, the Dudley Boys are walking out with the belts. I could see some kind of crazy finish where the Primetime Players win the titles on Monday and then drop them on Sunday. And to be a transitional champion. I still think there's so much good money in the New Day being the champions. But, actually what should happen is the Dudleys are brand new. So what should happen is that New Day gets a win, gets some kind of fuck win, thank you to Xavier Woods over the Primetime Players tonight on Monday on Raw. And then next Sunday, they also get some kind of fuck win over the Dudley Boys. Continuing this feud. So I'm actually going to change my prediction. I'm going to say New Day walks out with the titles. And this will set up for more feuds down the line. Eventually, I think the Dudleys will win the championship. But I think for this week, it's going to be New Day. Because the New Day is so hot right now. He's so hot right now. Oh, God, what is that? This is from Zoolander. I forget that character's name. Anyway, New Day is on such a roll. I think it would be good you could build really good heat by having them just some kind of fuck finish win over the Dudleys. It'd be great. We then have Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and the mystery partner against the Wyatt family. There's been rumors that the mystery partner will be Baron Corbin. Talked about that last week. It would be cool. I don't see how that makes any sense. Most likely, the mystery partner is going to be Eric Rowan. I think the Wyatts are going to win, unless there's something you just really pull a mystery, like almost have Samoa Joe be the mystery partner, man. That would be kind of freaking awesome. And Samoa Joe could come out, and it could even be a one-time thing. They could just say, hey, we needed a guy who we know can kick some major ass. We found one. Samoa Joe shows up. He lays people out. Maybe they get a pin on Harper. It's hard to say, but I think probably the Wyatts are going to win. It just really depends on who the mystery partner is. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. This is a match I'm really, really looking forward to. We then have Rusev versus Dolph Ziggler. I don't give a fuck at this point. I really don't. So Ziggler, I guess. If Lana wasn't hurt, I would be really hoping for the double turn. Ziggler turning heel, Rusev turning face. But yeah, we'll see. And then this one has not been announced, but I think it's going to happen. I think they're working toward a Ryback-Kevin Owens feud for the IC title. And I think that's because the Intercontinental title has to be defended at Night of Champions. I think they're probably going to set that match up tonight. And if so, I think Kevin Owens is going to win. Ryback's been a pretty good Intercontinental champion. And I think he and Kevin Owens could have a really fun feud. But I think Kevin Owens, by the time it's all said and done, needs to come out as the winner. He needs to come out as the Intercontinental champion. And I think he's the kind of guy who could help bring back some prestige to that belt, because he was such a good NXT champion. And with the whole Fight Owens fight, I could see him defending it a lot, hopefully. Because, it would just be, I could see it working. Who knows what other kind of matches they're going to throw on there, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7 matches. They're probably going to throw 1 or 2 more on there. I don't know what they would be. But that's kind of where Night of Champions stands. And we'll see. I mean, hopefully it'll be a good show. Hopefully it won't suck balls, but I guess we'll find out. Let's move on to NXT this week. And in NXT, we have more of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament, but the show opens up with Carmella versus Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce is she's a relatively newer signing. She's one of 2 girls from Australia that has signed to NXT, and she was, is that Kate? Her pre-name, WWE name was Casey Cassidy. She's actually really good. And her and Billie Kay are the new ones, and Billie Kay's name is 1 second, because I forgot. Jessie McKay. So these are 2 chicks from Australia, and they're coming into NXT, and they're both pretty dang good. She actually got a not completely suck-ass match out of Carmella. Carmella's getting a little bit better. And Carmella got the win. But it was definitely a hard-fought match for her. So, pretty good. We then had Finn Balor and Samoa Joe backstage talking about their match. They're going against the Lucha Dragons later on this episode as part of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. We then had, speaking of, some highlights from the tournament from various live events. So they're actually not doing all of this tournament at Full Sail. They're doing different things at different house shows. And they showed wins with Cass and Enzo and Dawson Wilder. It's interesting. On the Stone Cold podcast, at one point, Steve Austin asked Edge and Christian about tag teams that they like, and Edge mentioned Dawson and Wilder, who was a team I've kind of thought was kind of a joke, but I don't know, the more I watch them and after listening to Edge and Christian's comments, okay, and he also made the comparison to Arn and Tully, the Brainbusters, so okay, I'm easing into not thinking this is stupid. So Cass and Enzo, Dawson and Wilder both got wins. These venues looked teeny tiny, so I think that is great, keeping the whole indie vibe in NXT strong. There's another Nia Jax vignette. We then had Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. So Bull comes out to a nice babyface ovation, but the guy still needs new ring gear. And you know what? Bull Dempsey smiling is fantastic. He actually has a pretty infectious smile. And when he gets into the ring, he jumps on the top rope, does that little sitting thing just like Tyler Breeze does, and Tyler got all pissed off. And the match started, and at one point, Ciampa slapped Breeze super hard in the face. He slapped the piss out of him. And Breeze was obviously in pain. He walks over, tags in Bull Dempsey. The crowd was really behind Tommaso and Gargano. Lots of chants for both those guys. And then there is a Bull is Gorgeous chant at one point, and then there's a This is Bullfit chant at one point. Great stuff. And throughout the match, Breeze kept tagging in Bull Dempsey anytime he was getting beat up or was in trouble. And at one point, one of the last ones, when that happened, Bull just gave him this look of like, really, dude? Seriously? It was great. Gargano at one point tried for an arm drag takedown, a Ricky Steamboat-esque arm drag, and Bull Dempsey just caught him and just held him. It was great. Then Gargano and Ciampa got the win. After the match, Breeze attacked Bull, and you know what? It's going to make Bull Dempsey such a huge babyface. I think the two of them are going to have a fun feud. I'm looking forward to that. There was a Lucha Dragons backstage promo, and I really got to ask, how in the hell does Sin Cara see or breathe through that mask? Same thing, Mystigo, same question for you, because it's the same mask. How does that work? We then have Dana Brooke backstage interview with Devin Taylor. You know what? I'm going to give Dana Brooke, I'm going to give some credit. She's actually a good talker. And she is just, she makes you want to hate her, and she has that down really well. And considering that she is not a wrestler, does not come from a wrestling background, she's picking this up pretty darn good. And then, of course, when Dana Brooke goes to leave, she does this thing where she always pats Devin Taylor on the head, and Devin just looks like she's going to kill Dana whenever she pats her on the head. It's pretty funny. There was a Ty Dillinger vignette. I'm glad to see this guy finally getting a bit of a push, so that'll be good. We had Dana Brooke versus the aforementioned Billie Kay. My biggest complaint with Dana Brooke is all of the posing that she does, and I know that's something that they are told to do. Carmella's pretty annoying about that too, but Dana Brooke does it worse than just about anybody, and it just never seems to end. And that is something she's going to have to really work on. There is some "We love Dana, no we don't" chants. The Full Sail crowd's really starting to get into Dana Brooke, which is nice. Dana Brooke got the win. Pretty good match. I think we're going to see a lot from Peyton Royce and Billie Kay over time. I think those two ladies are going to really kind of fill the void that's been left by Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Sasha. Whether or not they're as good as those three, I don't know. But I think they're going to kind of fill that void, or try to at least. We then have an Apollo Crews backstage interview, also with Devin Taylor. That dude is infectious, man. That guy is going to be such a freaking star, as long as he doesn't get hurt. There's a vignette about Bayley showing her biggest fan, Izzy, around the Performance Center. Izzy is the little girl who is always there. She's dressed up in Bayley gear, and in part of the vignette, they showed her watching the match, the takeover match where Bayley won, and the poor girl passed out. She just was so excited she collapsed on the floor. So that's freaking awesome that she got shown around the Performance Center. That's just really cool. We then had the main event, which was Finn Balor and Samoa Joe versus Lucha Dragons. This was a match filmed at Providence, Rhode Island at a SmackDown taping. There was a really nice pop for Balor when he came out. I don't quite understand the jacket thing he was wearing, like the whole leather jacket collar up thing. That was obviously something from the main roster. People were like, "Here, put this jacket on." He had a great entrance. He's going to be a huge star. There were some nice NXT chants. Tom Phillips and Jimmy Uso were on commentary. And I like Tom Phillips. It makes me sad that he keeps getting kicked off of these shows. He was the main guy on SmackDown, and now old boy got it. The guy also does NXT. I can't remember his name, but I like Phillips. Hopefully they'll find a good role for him sometime. So at one point, Lucha Dragons did this thing where Sin Cara, I think it was like a not frog splash, a hip toss. No, is that what it's called? Shit. The thing where your opponent jumps up and puts their feet basically on your hips, grabs your head, and falls back and flips you over. Well, Sin Cara did that to Kalisto, except Kalisto did like this 180, almost 360 flip in the air into a splash. It looked awesome. It was just so cool. And at that point on commentary, Tom Phillips says, "Hey, can you and Jay do that?" And Jimmy's like, "Oh, hell no, man." It was hilarious. Jimmy Uso's been on SmackDown commentary for a while, and you kind of forget he's there because he doesn't talk very often. But that was funny. He and Tom Phillips have a good rapport, and I enjoyed that. Balor and Joe got the win after Joe hit a muscle buster, and then Balor came off the rope with a coup de grace. It was a great match, lots of fun, great way to end NXT. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with this tournament. NXT is just, doing things right, I gotta say. So let's go on to Ring of Honor for this week. Wow, have we really already been talking for almost an hour? Jesus Christ. So Ring of Honor this week opens up with a backstage promo with Jay Lethal and Truth Martini, and then shows one of Roderick Strong talking about the rematch for tonight, which is the main event. The show had all of 2 matches, which is all it needed. We had the Young Bucks versus the Addiction with Chris Sabin for the World Tag Team titles. Chris Sabin gets ejected from the match ejected from ringside pretty early on. At one point, the Kingdom comes down. Matt Taven is wearing his shirt all cut up, real super short. He kind of reminds me of Stevie Richards in a way. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So tons of back and forth in this match. Great fucking match. The Bucks are about to get the win after an Indie Taker spike pile driver when Christopher Daniels, right as the ref's about to count 3, pulls the ref out of the ring. Blames it on Maria Kanellis. At one point, one of the Bucks, and I can't remember which one, looks like he's about to super kick Maria, but then I think it's Daniels gets a roll up, distraction roll up for the pin. It was a good distraction roll up. It made sense. Nigel McGuinness comes out and says, whoa, this is not how this is going to go down. And the place erupts thinking, oh my god, the match is going to continue. But instead changes the match at All-Star Extravaganza pay-per-view, which is this coming Friday. changes that to a triple threat match, which will now be the Addiction defending the tag team titles against the Kingdom and the Young Bucks. Man, I want to see that. Jesus, that's going to be so freaking good. Dalton Castle had a commercial for his shirt. It was just hilarious. We then had Inside Ring of Honor, Inside ROH. It was all about the Dalton Castle Silas Young feud. We then have the main event. Roderick Strong versus Jay Lethal with Truth Martini, Donovan Dijak, and Jay Diesel, also known as Baby Tista, ringside for the Ring of Honor World title. There were some great "Let's Go Lethal, Let's Go Roddy" back and forth chants. Really early on in the match, Strong hit one of the best drop kicks I've ever seen. I mean, it looked like he about snapped Lethal's head off, and Lethal, either when that happened, either a bead from his hair went flying or some gum went flying, and of course, it looked awesome. And one of the guys on commentary said, "Oh, is that a tooth?" And Lethal sold it so well, he ended up like falling out of the ring. It was just so freaking good. And this match, back and forth, so freaking good. Eventually, so at the end, Lethal got the win after he hit Roddy in the face with a belt and ended up having to hit 2 lethal injections. Great, outstanding match. Easily the match of the week. At the end, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly came out, stood on the stage, staring Lethal down. Lethal will be defending the world title and the TV title. He will be defending the TV title against Bobby Fish and the world title against Kyle O'Reilly at All-Star Extravaganza. Same two defenses same night. Where we heard that before? Oh, that's because WWE stole the idea from Ring of Honor. Jay Lethal is fantastic. I suspect he is going to walk out of Friday night with both titles. So yeah, this was great. I mean, this is the best show this week without a doubt. Lots and lots of fun. You really can't go wrong with Ring of Honor. Each and every week, Ring of Honor is fantastic. And even its kind of weak weeks are still really good. Always great wrestling. So yeah, the 2 matches, and it was fucking amazing. If you're not watching Ring of Honor, this is as good a place as any to start. Go watch it. In fact, you can go to ringofhonorwrestling.com and go to the TV section, go to Watch Now, and you can see that episode right now. That's actually where I watched it this week. It's good stuff. I hope it stays on Destination America. I enjoy the hell out of it. Ring of Honor is just top notch. Alright, and then let's get on to WCW Monday Nitro. This is the flashback section. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, each week I'm going to watch an episode of either Nitro or a pay-per-view. I'm just starting at the beginning and going through. Why? Well, because I love WCW. And there's some goofy shit that went on in WCW, Dungeon of Doom. There was also some fantastic wrestling. And I enjoyed watching that episode of Nitro last week, so I figured, what the hell, I'm going to do some more. So this was Monday Nitro. It was the second episode. This aired on September 10th of 1995. Show opened up with a replay of the Hogan Luger segment from the previous week. We then had a match, Sabu versus Alex Wright. Sabu, this was his WCW debut. Really freaking good match. Alex Wright is a guy I always kind of saw as a jobber guy. And I think he had different names at different points. But, you watch this match, and you're like, man, this kid could have been something. He could actually go. This was a really good match. Sabu got the win. After the match, he busts out this table, puts Wright on the table, jumps off the top rope, does some kind of clothesline thing through the table onto Wright. The ref reversed the decision, saying that changed his decision to a disqualification. Oh God, I'm sorry. Apparently I'm tired, and I'm also getting hungry. It's almost lunchtime. But reversed the decision, so Wright actually won by DQ. It was great. It was a lot of fun. We had Ric Flair in an in-ring interview with Mean Gene Okerlund. He was basically cutting a promo on Arn Anderson. They're in the middle of a feud at the time. He makes a Four Horsemen reference. Lex Luger comes out. Flair says that Hogan's going down to Luger, and it's so funny. Luger's just standing there, and he shakes his head. He's like, you know what? Some things never change, Rick. And they had, obviously in the past, Luger had been in the Four Horsemen. He and Ric Flair feuded. This was great. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. We then had Michael Wall Street, who is now going by VK Wall Street. Why? Who knows? Versus Sting for the United States title. Sting gets a huge pop. Eric Bischoff at this point does one of his famous giving results for Monday Night Raw, trashing it. The ref. Okay, so the ref that was in the previous match and this match, he was this dude with this big curly hair, and I just hate the way he does a 3 count. Just the way he slaps the ring, it's awful. It's kind of distracting, really. Sting got the win. He hit the Stinger Splash and then went on up to the top rope for a flying cross body. Lots of fun, man. Sting is a great match. Mike Rotunda, a.k.a. Michael Wall Street, a.k.a. IRS, is a damn good wrestler. Sting was fantastic in his prime, so this was great stuff. We then had Scott Norton versus Randy Savage. You know, Scott Norton, he was kind of a joke in the whole NWO thing, but when they brought him in, they made him out to be this badass. And this match against Savage was pretty damn good, man. He was he really took Savage to task. The Dungeon of Doom came out. Norton basically had the match won. They cost Norton the match. Dungeon of Doom sucks. There was this really interesting dichotomy back in WCW where they had fantastic wrestling, just fantastic in-ring stuff. And then they had some of the dumbest fucking gimmicks you've ever seen in your entire life. And the Dungeon of Doom was one of them. And the one that really stands out as the dumbest of all of those gimmicks in there was Brutus Beefcake. And I don't know what he was called at this point, but he's in his Brutus Beefcake tights. The only difference is he has some face paint on, and his hair's pulled up in a weird ponytail, and he runs around and acting like a mindless idiot, and it's fucking awful. Brutus Beefcake did his best stuff when he was teaming with Greg Valentine. That tag team match against the British Bulldogs at WrestleMania 2 was amazing. That's one of the great all-time tag team matches. If you've never seen that, go find that. It's phenomenal. It's why the British Bulldogs should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but which probably won't happen until Dynamite Kid is dead, because apparently he's a dick. Whole other story. Anywho, we then come to the main event, which is Lex Luger versus Hulk Hogan for the WCW World Heavyweight title. This was, not bad. I have always liked Lex Luger. I think that, for a big guy, a muscle guy, he kind of got, especially with more modern smart fans, he gets kind of a bad rep. He was a much better wrestler, I think, than Hogan. But even Hogan was a much better wrestler than Hogan. Hogan could do a whole lot more than he ever did, and which is sad that you didn't get to see that very often. But one point toward the end, Luger had, and this is one thing where Luger always did weird shit. Luger had Hogan up in a torture rack, and the ref was picking up Hogan's arm and dropping it down to see if he passed out. And Luger thought he passed out, but his arm didn't fall all the way on the third one. So Luger drops him from the torture rack, is celebrating like he won. The ref keeps pulling his hands down, saying, "No, you didn't win." Luger goes for the pin. Hogan hulks up. hits the boot, leg drop of Doom, and then the Dungeon of Doom come out and interfere. They attack Hogan, but left Luger alone. Sting and Savage come out, eventually clear the ring, and they're asking, why weren't Savage especially that keeps asking why wasn't Luger attacked, and Mean Gene gets in the ring for an interview with everybody, and so Savage is pissed. Savage is like, Luger, why didn't they attack you? Jimmy Hart, why didn't they attack you? And Jimmy Hart's like, me? What the hell are you talking about? And Luger's just kind of standing there quiet. Like, Luger has this air of, I'm not getting in, basically this whole thing of, I do not want to get pulled into your stupid bullshit. I just want the world title. That's his whole, demeanor, which I actually kind of like. Sting says, look, with Vader gone, let's have Luger join us, be a part of our team at Fall Brawl against the Dungeon of Doom in War Games. And Savage says no, so Hogan's the deciding vote. And Hogan says, okay, if you want to, you're in. And Luger's like, okay, fine, I'll be in your match, but you still owe me a title shot. And Savage is like, he's got ulterior motives, blah, blah, blah. It was a really good segment. The one thing I will say, it's really interesting. WCW had the hard camera, just like WWE has now, and they didn't have quite as many cameras going around the ring. So a lot during the segment, the guys weren't really worried about the position of where the camera was. So you ended up seeing Sting's back a lot because they were all just kind of circling each other. And I think had they had some other cameras around to film it at different angles, it probably would have come off a little bit better on TV. But it was, it was pretty good. It was fun. So next week we're going to talk about Fall Brawl from 1995. It's the Fall Brawl September 17th edition, 1995. We'll go over. And that's pretty much it for this week. Like I said, I don't have a song of the week because honestly I forgot. But if you do like the music that you hear, that I've played on the show, do check out my music podcast. It's K98X The Fringe podcast. If you just Google K98X The Fringe, or you can head over to Twitter, look up the handle K98X The Fringe. You can find episodes there. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook here. It's at Around the Ring OK. That is the handle for both Facebook and Twitter. You can also shoot me an email, aroundtheringok@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out our homepage, aroundtheringok.wordpress.com. And that's going to do it for this week of Around the Ring. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Next week we will talk about Night of Champions. Hopefully I will have a chance to watch the All-Star Extravaganza Ring of Honor pay-per-view. So if someone out there does get a chance to watch it, I'm really broke and don't have cable, so I can't get the pay-per-view. So someone please upload it because I want to see it. That's bad of me, but I'll talk about it, try to give them some money that way. And I will say real quick, I really wish there was a network out there, kind of like the WWE network, a streaming service that covered all of the different independent organizations, because I would love to be able to watch some PWG and to be able to keep up with Ring of Honor a little bit better, and Shimmer and these other companies that are out there that I just only get to see clips of on YouTube. So if there is such a service, if someone could let me know what it is, that would be fantastic. But that's definitely something I would be willing to pay for every month. I'm paying for the WWE network, so why not pay for something that gives me access to Ring of Honor, PWG, all these other organizations? That'd be fantastic. We need a professional wrestling network. We really, really do. That gives us access to everything that isn't WWE. And that's going to do it. So we're out for this week. Take care, guys. Hope everyone has a great week. And as Jerry Springer always says, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring,
on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.